Imaging finding a rare coin so rare it could pay off your house today, we're diving into 10 of the most valuable US coins ever found. Real coins worth hundreds and even millions of dollars or more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the next rare find. Let's start this.
What if I told you that a simple penny, a coin so common that most people toss it into a jar without a second thought, could quietly be worth far more than 1 cent? What if, right now, sitting in your kitchen drawer, your old piggy bank, or that dusty box in the garage, there's a small copper treasure waiting to change your financial story? Today we're diving deep into the powerful potential of the 1981 no-mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin struck by the legendary United States Mint and bearing the timeless portrait of Abraham Lincoln. And before you dismiss this as just another coin story, let me ask you something. How many times have you handled a 1981 penny? How many times have you dropped one into a tip jar, left it on a counter, or ignored it entirely? What if one of those coins carried an error that collectors are actively hunting right now? What if that overlooked cent could be your first step from pocket change to serious profit? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll not only understand the real power behind the 1981 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent, but you'll also know how to sell old rare coins in the USA, how to make money from coins, and how everyday Americans are turning forgotten change into four-figure and even five-figure auction results. In 1981, the Lincoln cent was still primarily struck in copper, just before the dramatic composition change that would come in 1982. That alone makes 1981 a fascinating transitional year. The no-mint Mark version was produced in Philadelphia Mint. For decades, Philadelphia coins typically carried no mint mark, which means millions were released into circulation. At first glance, that sounds ordinary. Common. Nothing special, but here is where most people make a critical mistake. They assume that because a coin is common, it has no value. That assumption has cost people thousands of dollars. Because within those millions of 1981 no-mint mark pennies, there exist rare errors and high-grade specimens that command astonishing premiums in today's competitive coin market. Let me ask you this. Have you ever examined your 1981 penny under magnification? Have you looked closely at the date for doubling? Have you inspected the lettering for strong, crisp impressions or subtle distortions? Most people haven't. And that gap between most people and serious collectors is where opportunity lives. Collectors are not paying for just any 1981 penny. They are paying for condition, rarity within condition, and striking anomalies. For example, off-center strikes, dramatic die cracks, double die obverse characteristics, and broad strikes can turn an ordinary penny into a conversation piece, and a high-demand collectible. In pristine uncirculated grades, especially coins certified by leading grading services, even a no-mint mark 1981 Lincoln cent can bring in impressive sums. Picture this. A retired teacher finds a roll of 1981 pennies saved decades ago. She sends the sharpest examples for grading. One comes back in an exceptional mint state grade, nearly flawless. Suddenly, what was once a 1-cent coin becomes a four-figure asset at auction. This isn't fantasy. This is the power of condition rarity in numismatics. Now pause for a moment. Are you still thinking, it's just a penny? Or are you starting to wonder what might be hiding in your own home? Here's a quick pattern interrupt for you. If pennies were truly worthless, why are professional collectors fighting over them in auction rooms? Why do bidding wars erupt over coins that once bought a piece of candy? Exactly. Because knowledge transforms ordinary metal into extraordinary value. Act 2 is about discovery and rising tension. The 1981 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent stands at the edge of a historic shift. In 1982, the composition changed from mostly copper to zinc with a thin copper plating. That means 1981 is one of the last full copper years. And copper coins have intrinsic appeal. Their weight, their tone, their aging patterns, all of these factors create collector interest. When evaluating your 1981 no-mint mark penny, the first step is authentication and condition assessment. Is it red, meaning it retains its original mint luster? Is it red-brown or fully brown? Has it been circulated heavily, or does it still show sharp details in Lincoln's hair and a wheat-free memorial reverse design? The difference between a worn example and a blazing uncirculated coin can mean the difference between 1 cent and hundreds or even thousands of dollars, and then there are errors. Imagine discovering a dramatic off-center strike where part of the design is missing but the date is still visible. Collectors love visible dates on off-center errors. Or a double die obverse where the date and lettering show clear separation under magnification. These are not myths. These are documented varieties that ignite excitement in the marketplace. Ask yourself, have you checked for doubling on the word liberty? Have you examined the motto "In God we trust" for thickness or shadowing? Have you weighed your coin to confirm copper composition? A small digital scale can unlock big answers. Now let's talk about urgency. The coin market is not static. It moves with demand, collector trends, and economic shifts. In uncertain economic times, tangible assets like rare coins gain attention. Collectors with disposable income compete for the finest examples. Auction houses showcase high-grade Lincoln cents with professional photography and global exposure. When two determined bidders lock eyes on the same coin, prices can soar beyond expectations, and here's the emotional trigger you need to hear. Every year, valuable coins are spent unknowingly. They pass through cash registers, vending machines, and bank rolls. They disappear back into circulation. How many valuable coins have already slipped through your fingers? How many are still waiting for you to recognize them? This is not about gambling. This is about education. When you learn what to look for, you shift from random hope to strategic action. Let's reset your attention with a quick question. If someone offered you $1,000 for a penny in your drawer, would you take 5 minutes to check? Of course you would. So why not check now? Act 3 is about empowerment and resolution. You've identified a promising 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln cent. Maybe it has a visible error. Maybe it's in stunning uncirculated condition. Now what? How to sell old rare coins. How to sell old and rare coins in USA and its value in auction shop. How to make money from coins effectively and safely. First, consider professional grading. Third-party grading services authenticate and assign condition grades that the market trusts. A certified coin often sells for significantly more than a raw coin because buyers have confidence. Confidence drives bidding. Bidding drives price. Second, research recent auction results. Major auction platforms and reputable dealers publish realized prices. Study coins similar to yours in grade and error type. This gives you realistic expectations and strategic positioning. Third, choose your selling venue wisely. Auction houses can create competitive bidding environments, especially for high-grade or rare error coins. Coin shows allow face-to-face negotiation with dealers. Online marketplaces provide wide exposure but require careful presentation and honesty. Each path has advantages. The key is matching your coin's quality to the right audience, and let me ask you directly. Are you holding coins just for nostalgia, or are you ready to turn knowledge into action? From pocket changes to millions is not just a catchy phrase. It's a mindset. It begins with seeing possibility where others see nothing. Imagine telling your family that the jar of pennies you sorted on a quiet Sunday afternoon led to a 4-figure sale. Imagine reinvesting that profit into more carefully selected coins. Imagine building a collection portfolio that appreciates over time. This is how wealth often begins, not with dramatic leaps, but with informed steps. The 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln cent represents more than metal. It represents overlooked potential. It represents the power of attention. It represents the reward for those who take time to learn what others ignore. We are diving deep into one of the most fascinating mid-century American coins, the 1962 D-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny from the United States of America. This is not just a coin. It is a piece of American legacy, a symbol of endurance, and for some collectors, a gateway to remarkable value. The 1962 D Lincoln cent was struck at the legendary Denver Mint, represented by the small but powerful D mint mark found just below the date on the obverse of the coin. The obverse features the timeless portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, originally designed by Victor David Brenner. Since 1909, Lincoln's profile has represented strength, unity, and resilience. On the reverse of the 1962 penny, you will find the classic wheat ears design had already ended in 1958, so this coin instead features the Lincoln Memorial, introduced in 1959 to honor the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. By 1962, the United States was in the midst of economic growth and cultural change. The country was navigating the Cold War, the space race, and rapid industrial expansion. Billions of pennies were needed for commerce. In fact, the Denver Mint struck more than 1 billion Lincoln cents that year. Because of such high mintage numbers, many people assumed the 1962 penny must be common and therefore worthless, but in the world of coin collecting, numbers only tell part of the story. Condition is everything. A 1962 Lincoln cent in circulated condition, meaning it has been used in daily transactions, is generally worth only a small premium over face value. These coins are composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving them intrinsic metal value. Even worn examples can be worth slightly more than 1 cent simply because of their copper content. However, when you move into uncirculated grades, the story changes dramatically. Uncirculated coins are graded on the Sheldon scale, ranging from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS60 through MS63 may show minor marks or dull luster but has never entered circulation. As you move higher into MS64 and MS65, the surfaces become cleaner, the luster stronger, and the eye appeal more impressive. At these levels, the 1962 penny can command significantly higher prices, especially if the coin displays blazing red original mint color. Color designation plays a crucial role in value. Collectors categorize copper coins as brown, red-brown, or red. A fully red coin retains most of its original fiery mint brilliance. Over time, copper oxidizes and darkens. Therefore, finding a 1962 penny in pristine red condition is far more difficult than finding a darkened brown example, but the real excitement begins when we talk about errors and exceptional high-grade specimens. Mint errors are accidental variations that occur during the production process. These can include repunched mint marks, die cracks, die clashes, off-center strikes, and doubled dies. While the 1962 penny is not as famous as some double die years, there are documented examples of repunched mint marks and minor doubling that can bring strong premiums. Imagine examining a 1962 penny under magnification and discovering that the D mint mark appears slightly doubled. That subtle detail, nearly invisible to the naked eye, could elevate your coin from ordinary to extraordinary. Another factor to consider is strike quality. Not all coins are struck equally. Some may show weak details on Lincoln's hair or the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. Others are struck with exceptional sharpness, displaying crisp lines and strong separation. Collectors pay attention to these details, and coins with superior strikes often bring higher values. Now, let's talk about the dream scenario, the ultra-high-grade example. In grades approaching MS66 or MS67 red, the 1962 Lincoln cent becomes a true condition rarity. At these lofty levels, only a tiny fraction of surviving coins qualify. Professional grading services such as PCGS and NGC carefully evaluate surface preservation, luster, strike, and color. When a coin earns a top-tier grade from one of these services, its value can skyrocket. Why? Because collectors compete fiercely for the finest known examples. Registry set collectors, in particular, strive to assemble the highest graded coins for each year and mint mark. When supply is extremely limited at the top grade levels, demand drives prices upward. This is where patience, knowledge, and careful searching can pay off. Many high-grade coins are still discovered in original bank rolls, estate collections, and long-forgotten coin jars. Some were set aside decades ago by collectors who recognized their potential. Others remain hidden in plain sight. If you are serious about finding value in the 1962 penny, here is what you should do. First, gather all your 1962 pennies and separate those with the D mint mark from those without. The mint mark is located on the obverse, just below the date. Use a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe with at least 5x to 10x magnification. Next, examine the coin's color. Does it shine with original red brilliance? Or has it turned brown over the decades? Look for smooth surfaces free of heavy scratches, spots, or discoloration. then, inspect the details. Lincoln's hair should show fine strands. The bow tie should be sharp. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial should display clear columns and defined lines. Weak or flat details may reduce value, also check for errors. Study the mint mark closely. Look for doubling in the date or lettering. Rotate the coin slightly under light to detect die cracks or unusual features that if you believe you have a high grade or error example, consider submitting it to a reputable grading service. While grading involves a fee, it can dramatically increase buyer confidence and market value if your coin receives a strong grade. The coin market has evolved significantly over the past decade. Online auctions, coin shows, and collector networks have made it easier than ever to buy and sell rare coins. Prices fluctuate based on demand, condition rarity, and overall market trends. Even coins once considered common can experience surges in value when collectors recognize scarcity at the highest grades. The 1962 D Lincoln penny stands as a perfect example of how an ordinary-looking coin can hold extraordinary potential. For many Americans between the ages of 30 and 65, coin collecting is more than a hobby. It is an opportunity. It is a treasure hunt hiding in your own home. It is the possibility that something overlooked for years could help fund a dream vacation, pay off debt, or build long-term wealth. But remember, success in coin collecting is not about luck alone. It is about education, patience, and attention to detail. The more you learn about grading standards, minting processes, and market demand, the better positioned you will be to recognize opportunity. Imagine opening an old roll of pennies inherited from a relative. As you carefully slide each coin out, your eyes catch a flash of bright red copper. The surfaces look flawless. The strike is razor sharp. You send it for grading. Weeks later, the results come back with an exceptional mint state grade. Suddenly, that single penny is no longer just 1 cent. It is a prized collectible sought after by serious numismatists. Stories like this are not fantasy. They happen. Not every day, not with every coin, but often enough to keep collectors searching. The beauty of the 1962 D Lincoln cent lies in its accessibility. Unlike coins that cost thousands just to acquire, this penny can still be found in circulation, bank rolls, and affordable collections. That means almost anyone can participate in the hunt. The key is to start looking. Check your change. Visit local coin shops. Search through estate sales. Ask family members if they have old jars of coins stored away. Educate yourself on grading and error identification. The more coins you examine, the sharper your eye will become, and when you do find a coin that stands out, one with blazing red luster, minimal marks, and exceptional detail, take it seriously. Protect it in a proper holder. Avoid cleaning it, as cleaning can drastically reduce value. Seek professional evaluation if warranted, because in the world of coin collecting, knowledge transforms ordinary metal into meaningful wealth. The 1962 D Lincoln penny may have begun its life as a humble piece of small change. It passed through grocery stores, gas stations, and countless hands across America. It witnessed history unfold. And today, in the right condition, it can command astonishing sums in the collector market. And now, as promised, here is the remarkable figure that demonstrates just how powerful condition rarity can be. A top-tier, superb gem example of the 1962 D Lincoln 1 cent penny has achieved a market value of $46,763. We're diving deep into one of the most talked-about coins among collectors and sellers alike, the 1964 D Mint Mark Lincoln 1 cent penny. If you are between 30 and 65, living in the United States, and wondering whether the change in your home could fund something bigger, a vacation, an investment, even a financial breakthrough, then this story is for you. Because sometimes wealth hides in plain sight, the 1964 D Lincoln penny was struck at the legendary Denver Mint, officially known as the United States Mint facility in Denver, Colorado. The small D mint mark below the date tells you it was produced there. In 1964, America was in transition, the economy was shifting, silver was disappearing from circulating coinage, and coin production numbers were soaring. Billions of pennies were minted that year. At first glance, that might make the 1964 D penny seem common. And in circulated condition, many of them are. But here's the truth seasoned collectors understand: rarity is not always about mintage numbers. It's about condition. It's about errors. It's about unique characteristics that transform an everyday coin into a collector's treasure. The obverse of the coin features the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln, a design introduced in 1909 to honor his 100th birthday. The reverse displays the iconic wheat ears design that defined the Lincoln cent for decades. Wait, here's where you must pay attention. Many people confuse the 1964 penny with earlier wheat cents. But by 1964, the reverse actually displayed the Lincoln Memorial, not wheat ears. That memorial reverse design had been introduced in 1959. That detail alone matters. Collectors want accuracy. When you're evaluating coins for potential profit, precision is power. The 1964 D penny is composed primarily of 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin. It has a weight of 3.11 grams. Why does that matter? Because weight verification is one of the first steps professionals take when authenticating high-value coins. A coin that deviates significantly could indicate damage, alteration, or, in rare cases, an error worth investigating. Now let's talk about what truly drives value. Most circulated 1964 D pennies are worth only a few cents above face value. But when you step into uncirculated territory, coins graded mint state 65, 66, or even higher, the landscape changes dramatically. These coins must have sharp details, full luster, and minimal contact marks. They must appear almost as if they just left the press at the Denver Mint. Serious collectors often rely on third-party grading services such as Professional Coin Grading Service and Numismatic Guarantee Company. These companies authenticate, grade, and encapsulate coins, giving buyers confidence. If you believe you have a pristine 1964 D penny, professional grading could be the difference between pocket change and a serious payday. But condition alone isn't the only factor. Errors are where the real excitement begins. In 1964, minting technology was advanced but not perfect. Coins were struck at high speeds. Dies clashed. Planchets misfed. And occasionally, extraordinary mistakes slipped through quality control. One of the most desirable errors collectors search for is strong doubling, especially on the date or lettering. While the 1964 D is not famous for a major double die like some other years, minor double dies and repunched mint marks have been reported. A clearly visible doubling under magnification can send collectors into competitive bidding. Then there are off-center strikes. A penny struck slightly off its intended center can become significantly more valuable, particularly if the date and mint mark remain visible. The more dramatic the off-center strike, without losing critical design elements, the higher the potential premium. Die cracks, die breaks, and cuts can also attract attention. A raised line or blob of metal caused by a cracked die might look like damage to the untrained eye. But to an experienced collector, it could be a collectible mint error. There's also the rare possibility of transitional or composition anomalies. In 1964, the composition was still copper-based. Any deviation would require professional verification, but anomalies in metal content can command astonishing prices. Now let's focus on what separates ordinary uncirculated coins from elite examples. Full red color. Copper coins naturally tone and darken over time. A 1964 D penny that retains blazing red mint luster, especially after more than half a century, is scarce. Grading services designate copper coins as red, red-brown, or brown. A coin graded mint state with a full red designation can bring multiples of the value of a similar coin that has toned. Eye appeal matters. Strike sharpness matters. Surface preservation matters. When all of these align, collectors compete. If you're searching through rolls or inherited collections, here's what to do. First, never clean the coin. Cleaning destroys value instantly. Even gentle wiping can create hairline scratches that reduce grade potential. Leave the coin exactly as you found it. Second, examine it under good lighting with a magnifying glass or loupe. Look at the date. Look at the mint mark. Look for doubling, unusual marks, or striking abnormalities. Third, weigh it. Confirm it's within proper tolerance. Precision builds confidence when you approach a dealer or grading service. Fourth, store it properly. Use a coin flip or protective holder. Avoid humidity and extreme temperatures. Remember, the difference between a common penny and a four-figure coin often comes down to condition preservation. The 1964 D Lincoln penny represents more than metal. It represents opportunity. It reminds us that wealth does not always arrive in obvious packages. Sometimes it sits quietly in a jar labeled spare change. For those of you building side income streams, flipping collectibles, or simply wanting to maximize every asset you own, coins are a fascinating and accessible market. Unlike stocks, you can physically hold them. Unlike real estate, you don't need massive capital to start, but knowledge is your greatest investment. Study grading standards. Watch auction results. Compare certified examples. Understand how market demand shifts over time. The coin market rewards patience and education. Imagine discovering that a coin you almost ignored could transform your financial trajectory. That possibility is why collectors keep searching. That is why sellers examine every detail carefully. And that is why you should not underestimate the humble 1964 D penny. In top certified condition with exceptional eye appeal, strong strike, blazing original red surfaces, and near perfect preservation, this coin has achieved remarkable auction results. And in its finest known grades, examples have reached values as high as $46,762. Let that sink in. A single cent multiplied by knowledge, multiplied by condition, multiplied by demand. So tonight, open that jar. Revisit that old collection. Check the dates carefully. Look for the small d under 1964. Handle your coins wisely. Protect them. Research them. And if you find something extraordinary, take the next step with confidence. We're going to explore why it was made, what makes certain examples rare, the errors that can multiply its value, and how an ordinary penny could transform into a collector's treasure. The 1970 D Lincoln cent was produced by the United States Mint at the Denver facility. The D Mint mark, located just below the date on the obverse side of the coin, tells you it was struck in Denver, Colorado. That small letter is extremely important. It separates this coin from Philadelphia and San Francisco issues of the same year. The design of the 1970 D penny continues the iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, originally introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The obverse features Lincoln's right-facing profile, designed by Victor David Brenner. The words Liberty appear to the left, the date 1970 to the right, and the motto In God We Trust arches across the top. On the reverse, you'll see the classic wheat to memorial transition era design. By 1970, the reverse displayed the Lincoln Memorial, introduced in 1959. United States of America curves along the top, E pluribus unum sits above the memorial, and 1 cent appears boldly at the bottom. At first glance, it looks like any other penny. And in most cases, that's exactly what it is. The Denver Mint produced over 2 billion 1970 D pennies. That's a huge mintage. With numbers like that, how could any of them be valuable? Here's where condition and errors come into play. In the world of coin collecting, condition is everything. A circulated 1970 D penny that has spent decades moving through hands, cash registers, and coin rolls is generally worth only face value. Maybe a few cents at most, but when you find a 1970 D penny in uncirculated condition, with original mint luster and no signs of wear, the value begins to climb. Coins graded in higher mint state levels by professional grading services can sell for impressive sums. Mint state coins are graded on a scale from 60 to 70. The closer a coin gets to 70, the more flawless it is. Even tiny marks can lower the grade significantly. A 1970 D penny graded MS 65 or higher is already far scarcer than the billion struck. But when you move into MS 67 and above, you're talking about coins that are incredibly difficult to find. Why? Because copper is a soft metal. It scratches easily. It tones, spots, and dulls over time. Preserving a copper coin in near-perfect condition for more than 50 years is not easy. That's why top-grade examples become highly desirable among collectors competing for registry sets, but there's more. One of the most exciting aspects of the 1970D penny is the possibility of errors and varieties. Error coins are mistakes made during the minting process. And sometimes, those mistakes create coins that are dramatically more valuable than normal issues. Collectors carefully inspect 1970D pennies for double dies, repunched mint marks, off-center strikes, and die cracks. A double die occurs when the design is impressed more than once onto the die itself, creating a noticeable doubling effect on letters or numbers. If strong doubling appears on Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, or the date, collectors pay attention. Repunched mint marks are another fascinating variety. In earlier years, mint marks were added by hand to working dies. Sometimes, the mint mark was punched more than once, slightly misaligned. This can create visible doubling or shadowing around the D. Sharp-eyed collectors search for these subtle features with magnification. Off-center strikes are dramatic and easy to see. If a coin is not properly aligned during striking, part of the design may be missing. The more off-center the coin is, while still showing the full date and mint mark, the more valuable it can be. There are also transitional metal composition considerations. In 1970, Lincoln cents were still composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This gives them a rich, warm tone that many collectors love. Later changes in composition make earlier copper cents more appealing to certain buyers. Now let's talk about color. Copper coins are classified into three primary color categories by grading services: brown, and red. A brown coin has toned over time and lost most of its original red mint luster. A red-brown coin retains some original color. A full red coin still displays bright, fiery copper surfaces as it did when it left the mint. Red examples of the 1970D penny, especially in high mint state grades, command the strongest premiums. That blazing original color is extremely difficult to preserve for decades. Even slight exposure to air and humidity can darken copper. This is where storage plays a critical role. Coins kept in original rolls, stored in cool and dry environments, sometimes survive in exceptional condition. And when one of those coins is sent to a grading service and receives a top-tier grade, collectors take notice. Auction records over the years have shown that superbly preserved 1970D pennies can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on grade and eye appeal. The competition for the finest known examples pushes prices higher. Imagine searching through an old coin jar inherited from a parent or grandparent. Imagine discovering a bright, blazing red 1970D penny with razor-sharp details and minimal marks. That single coin, once considered ordinary pocket change, could become a key to unlocking serious value. But knowledge is power. If you want to identify a valuable 1970D penny, you need to inspect it carefully. Use a magnifying glass or coin loupe with at least 10x magnification. Examine the surfaces for signs of wear. Check Lincoln's cheek and jawline for flattening. Look at the high points of the memorial on the reverse, then examine the mint mark. Is the D crisp and well-defined? Is there any sign of doubling or repunching? Study the lettering for unusual thickness or separation that might indicate a double die. Also weigh the coin if you can. A standard 1970D copper cent should weigh about 3.11 grams. Significant deviation could indicate damage or a rare anomaly. If you believe you found something special, consider submitting it to a reputable third-party grading service. Professional authentication and grading can dramatically increase buyer confidence and market value. It's important to understand that not every 1970D penny is worth big money. The vast majority remain common. But the rare high-grade survivors and dramatic error coins are where opportunity lives. The coin market thrives on condition rarity. When billions were made, but only a handful survive in near-perfect condition, those few become trophies. Collectors building top-ranked sets compete fiercely for them. This is why you should never underestimate the coins in your possession. Many people dismiss pennies as insignificant. Yet history shows time and time again that small denominations can hold surprising value. The 1970D Lincoln penny represents more than copper and design. It represents a moment in American minting history. It represents the craftsmanship of the Denver Mint. And for the informed collector, it represents potential. If you are serious about turning old coins into meaningful financial gains, you must train your eye and sharpen your knowledge. Study auction archives. Compare graded examples. Learn how tiny differences in quality can mean dramatic differences in price, and remember this: patience is essential. The coin market rewards those who research, authenticate, and present their coins properly. Some 1970 pennies have sold for modest premiums. Others, in elite condition, have reached levels that surprise even experienced collectors. When a coin is graded among the finest known, bidders are willing to pay aggressively. The thrill of coin collecting is not only about money. It's about discovery. It's about holding history in your hand. It's about realizing that something overlooked by millions might be recognized by you. So before you spend another penny without looking at it closely, pause. Examine the date. Look for that small but powerful D mint mark. Check the color. Study the condition. It is a piece of American history, a product of the United States Mint during a fascinating time in the nation's economic journey. And under the right conditions, with the right characteristics, this small coin can be worth far more than its face value. The United States was experiencing economic shifts. Inflation was rising. The price of copper was becoming a concern. Yet the 1-cent coin continued to roll off the presses in massive numbers. At the Denver Mint, millions upon millions of 1973 pennies were struck with the small but important D mint mark beneath the date. The obverse of the coin features the timeless portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, originally designed by Victor David Brenner. Above Lincoln's head, you see the word liberty. In front of him, the motto "In God We Trust." Beneath the date sits the tiny but powerful D, indicating it was minted in Denver. On the reverse, you see the familiar Lincoln Memorial design, used from 1959 through 2008. The words United States of America arch across the top. 1 cent stands boldly in the center. And the Latin phrase E pluribus unum crowns the upper rim. The majority of 1973 D pennies circulated heavily. They were tossed into cash registers, dropped in parking lots, stored in piggy banks, and worn down through decades of handling. Those coins, in average circulated condition, are typically worth only a few cents above face value. But what about the coins that were never spent, the coins that remained in mint state condition, untouched by circulation, preserving their original luster and sharp detail, tell a completely different story. A 1973 D Lincoln penny graded in high mint state condition, especially MS 66 or above, becomes dramatically more desirable. Collectors pay premiums for exceptional quality. Why? Because while millions were produced, very few survived in pristine condition. Now let's talk about something even more exciting: errors and varieties. Error coins are where the real treasure hunting begins. During the minting process, mistakes sometimes occur. These can include off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, die cracks, or improper metal mixtures. When such errors happen and escape into circulation, they create rare and collectible pieces. For the 1973 D penny, collectors carefully inspect for strong doubling in lettering, dramatic off-center strikes, and clean, eye-catching mint errors. A bold error on a high-grade coin can multiply its value significantly. There is also the matter of luster and color. Lincoln cents from this era were composed primarily of copper. Over time, copper oxidizes. Many coins darken to brown. But collectors prefer red examples, coins that retain their original bright copper color. Grading services categorize them as brown, red-brown, or red. A fully red 1973 D penny in top condition commands much stronger interest in the marketplace than a dull brown example. Now imagine discovering a 1973 D penny that is brilliant red, sharply struck, free of major marks, possibly featuring a noticeable mint error, professionally graded in a high mint state level. That is the kind of coin that serious collectors compete for. Professional grading is another key factor. Third-party grading services authenticate the coin, evaluate its condition, and encapsulate it in a tamper-proof holder. This adds credibility and confidence for buyers. Without professional grading, a seller's claim about condition may not be trusted. But with a certified grade, the coin becomes part of the recognized collector market. So how do you check your 1973 D penny? First, look under the date for the D mint mark. If it's not there, it was minted in Philadelphia. The Denver mint mark is essential for this specific variety. Second, examine the coin under bright lighting and magnification. Look for doubling in the letters and numbers. Check for unusual features, portions missing, shifted designs, cracks, or anything that looks out of the ordinary. Third, inspect the surface. Does it still shine with original mint luster? Are Lincoln's cheek and jaw sharp and detailed? Are there heavy scratches or just minor contact marks? Fourth, evaluate the color. Is it bright red? Slightly toned? Or fully brown? The better the condition and eye appeal, the higher the potential value. But here is something many new collectors misunderstand: rarity is not just about how many were made. It's about how many survive in elite condition. While hundreds of millions of 1973 pennies were struck, the number of coins surviving in superb gem condition is dramatically smaller. Over decades, coins were mishandled, cleaned improperly, stored in poor environments, or simply spent. High-grade survivors become the true scarcity, and scarcity fuels demand. Collectors building top-tier Lincoln cent sets must secure the finest examples available. Registry collectors compete fiercely for the highest-graded coins. This competitive demand pushes premium examples into impressive price territory. If you are someone who dreams of turning overlooked coins into real wealth, this is where patience and knowledge pay off. Search bankrolls, examine inherited collections, inspect old jars and coin albums, look through estate sale boxes, visit local coin shops. Treasure rarely announces itself loudly. It hides quietly among the ordinary, and here is a powerful truth: most valuable coins are discovered by people who were simply curious enough to look closely. Now imagine this scenario: you inherit a small box of coins from a relative. You almost ignore it. But you decide to examine each piece carefully. Among them, you find a bright red 1973 Lincoln penny in remarkable condition. You send it for professional grading. Weeks later, the results confirm a superb high mint state grade. Suddenly, a coin once worth 1 cent becomes a serious collectible asset. This is not fantasy. It is the reality of numismatics. The coin market is driven by condition, demand, eye appeal, certification, and rarity in top grades. When those elements align, values rise far beyond face value, and for motivated sellers, understanding the market is crucial. If you discover a premium example, research recent auction results. Study certified population reports. Compare condition carefully. Do not rush to sell without knowing its true potential. Collectors pay for quality, but only when quality is proven. Avoid cleaning your coin. Cleaning destroys natural surfaces and dramatically reduces value. Even wiping a coin with a cloth can leave microscopic scratches visible under magnification. If you believe you have a special example, handle it by the edges only. Store it safely. Consider professional evaluation. For viewers in the United States between 30 and 65 years old, this is more than a hobby. It can be a side pursuit that rewards attention to detail and disciplined learning. Coins are tangible assets, they carry history, they are finite, and they are always being searched for by collectors worldwide. The 1973 Lincoln 1-cent penny represents a moment in American minting history. Most are common. But a few, the finest, the rarest in grade, the most visually stunning, stand apart. When supply of elite examples is small and demand from collectors is strong, prices can climb to remarkable levels. Imagine turning a 1-cent coin into a meaningful financial gain. Imagine funding part of a vacation, paying off a bill, or reinvesting in other collectibles, all because you took the time to inspect a humble penny. That is why knowledge matters, that is why patience matters, and that is why you should never underestimate small change. Before you dismiss that 1973 penny in your drawer, take a closer look. Examine the mint mark. Study the surfaces. Appreciate the design. And consider the possibility that what seems ordinary could hold extraordinary potential. We're diving deep into the United States of America 1975 no mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin that many Americans have seen, but very few have truly examined. If you are between 30 and 65 years old, living in the United States, and dreaming about turning old coins into serious money, then this is the moment to pay very close attention. Because knowledge is profit in the world of coin collecting, the 1975 Lincoln cent was struck during a fascinating period in American history. The obverse of the coin features the iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. This portrait first appeared in 1909, making it one of the longest-running designs in American coinage. On the reverse of the 1975 penny, you'll find the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to honor the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Now, when we talk about a 1975 penny with no mint mark, we are referring to coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint. During that time, the Philadelphia Mint did not use a mint mark on Lincoln cents. That means millions of these coins were produced, and at first glance, they may seem common. In fact, over 5 billion 1975 pennies were struck in Philadelphia alone. So how could a coin with such a massive mintage be worth serious money? This is where condition, rarity within condition, and error varieties come into play. First, let's talk about composition. The 1975 Lincoln cent was made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This was before the major composition change in 1982, when pennies transitioned primarily to zinc. That means your 1975 penny contains a strong copper presence, and as copper prices fluctuate, even the metal value can attract attention. But the true value lies in much more than just copper content. Condition is everything in coin collecting. A heavily circulated 1975 no-mint mark penny, worn from decades of use, may only be worth a few cents. But an uncirculated coin, one that never entered circulation and retains its original mint luster, can command significantly higher prices. Collectors use grading systems such as those from the Professional Coin Grading Service and the Numismatic Guarantee Company to evaluate coins. A 1975 penny graded MS65 or higher, meaning mint state with strong luster and minimal marks, is far rarer than you might think. While billions were produced, only a tiny fraction survive in pristine condition decades later. Imagine this scenario: someone in 1975 carefully set aside a roll of fresh pennies from the bank, stored them in a safe place, and forgot about them. Fast forward to today, and those untouched coins could be in exceptional condition, potentially worth many times their face value. But condition is just the beginning. The real excitement comes from mint errors and rare varieties that in the world of coin collecting, errors are highly desirable. These are coins that were struck with some kind of mistake during the minting process. On a 1975 no-mint mark penny, collectors look for double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, and other mechanical anomalies. One of the most famous varieties in Lincoln cent history is the double die error. While the most legendary double dies occurred in other years, collectors still carefully inspect 1975 pennies for any signs of doubling on the date, the word liberty, or the motto "In God We Trust." Even minor doubling, if authenticated and graded, can increase a coin's value dramatically. Another possibility is an off-metal strike. While extremely rare, if a 1975 penny were mistakenly struck on the wrong type of planchet, it could be worth a substantial amount. These kinds of dramatic mint errors are the dream finds of circulation hunters. You must also examine the coin's surface for unusual characteristics. Look for crisp details in Lincoln's hair, sharp lines in the Lincoln Memorial, and strong, original red color. In the coin market, color matters. Collectors categorize copper coins as red, red-brown, or brown. A full red 1975 penny in high mint state grade is far more desirable than one that has darkened over time. Here's where your opportunity begins. Most people do not examine their change. They do not look closely at dates. They do not understand grading. But you do. And that knowledge alone gives you an edge. Search through old coin jars. Check bank rolls. Visit estate sales and flea markets. Sometimes older collections contain coins that were stored away decades ago and never professionally graded. A simple magnifying glass and patience can open doors to discoveries others have missed. It's also important to understand market demand. Lincoln cents are one of the most widely collected coin series in the United States. Generations of collectors have assembled date and mint sets. Because of that, high-grade examples from every year, including 1975, are needed to complete top-tier collections, and when demand meets limited supply in high grade, prices rise. Let's talk about realistic expectations. Not every 1975 no-mint mark penny will make you wealthy. The majority are common. But the key is not the average coin, it's the exceptional one. The coin that stands out. The coin that grades MS66 or MS67. The coin with blazing red color and flawless surfaces. When such a coin appears at auction, serious collectors compete. Auction houses have recorded impressive results for superbly preserved Lincoln cents from the 1970s. While the 1975 issue does not carry the legendary status of some earlier rarities, condition rarity can transform an ordinary year into a valuable asset, and here's the mindset shift you need to embrace. Wealth in coin collecting is built through knowledge, patience, and consistency. It's not about luck alone. It's about understanding what to look for and acting when opportunity appears. That if you find a 1975 penny that appears uncirculated, resist the urge to clean it. Cleaning a coin can permanently damage its surface and drastically reduce its value. Instead, handle it carefully by the edges and consider submitting it to a reputable grading service if it appears exceptional. Authentication adds credibility. Credibility adds value. Now imagine discovering a pristine 1975 no-mint mark Lincoln cent in your possession. You send it for grading. Weeks later, it returns with a high mint state grade and a designation confirming its outstanding quality. Suddenly, what was once a single cent becomes a collectible asset sought after by advanced collectors. This is why coin hunting is so powerful. It combines history, strategy, and the thrill of discovery. The 1975 penny represents more than copper and design. It represents possibility. It represents the idea that everyday objects can hold hidden value. It reminds us that sometimes, the treasures we seek are already within reach. If you are serious about turning old coins into profit, build a system. Organize your finds. Research completed auction sales. Track population reports from grading services to see how many coins exist in top grades. Knowledge compounds just like money, and never underestimate the power of persistence. Many collectors searched for years before finding a coin that transformed their collection. The American dream has always been about opportunity, recognizing value where others see none. The 1975 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny is a perfect example. To most, it's just spare change. To the informed collector, it's a potential gateway to profit. Take action today. Check your change. Ask family members if they have old jars of pennies. Visit local coin shops and build relationships. The more coins you examine, the better your eye becomes, because somewhere out there, perhaps even in your own home, a high-grade 1975 Lincoln cent could be waiting quietly. Because hiding in plain sight, circulating through grocery stores, gas stations, and pocket change across America, is a coin most people overlook every single day. The 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. At first glance, it looks ordinary. It carries the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Nothing flashy. No dramatic color. No silver shine. Just a simple copper coin that most people would spend without a second thought. But what if I told you that under the right conditions, with the right characteristics, and in the right grade, this humble coin could be worth serious money? Let's dive deep into the story, the value, the errors, and the opportunity behind the 1978 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, and why collectors across the United States still search for it today. The 1978 Lincoln cent was struck by the United States Mint during a time when inflation was high and copper prices were rising. These coins were composed primarily of copper, making them heavier and more substantial than modern pennies produced after 1982. When you see a 1978 penny with no mint mark, it does not mean it is missing something by mistake. It simply means the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. During that era, the Philadelphia Mint did not place a mint mark on Lincoln cents. So a 1978 penny without a mint mark is normal, but that doesn't mean it is common in high grades. In fact, millions of these coins were produced in Philadelphia. Over 5 billion were minted. That sounds like a huge number, and it is. But here is where things get interesting. Most of those billions of coins entered circulation. They were used, dropped, scratched, worn down, tossed into cash registers, carried in pockets, exposed to moisture. Over time, the majority lost their original mint luster, and in coin collecting, condition is everything that a circulated 1978 no-mint mark penny in average condition may only be worth face value. But once you begin to look at coins in uncirculated condition, coins that were never used in daily commerce, the value begins to climb. Collectors look for bright red color, sharp details, no wear on Lincoln's cheek or jawline, strong separation in the Lincoln Memorial columns, and clean surfaces free from major marks. Coins graded in mint state condition by professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC can command impressive premiums. The higher the grade, the rarer the coin becomes. For example, a coin graded MS65 with strong red color is already far more desirable than a coin pulled from circulation. But as you approach MS66, MS67, and beyond, the population drops dramatically. That's because finding a 1978 penny that survived nearly 5 decades without scratches, nicks, or dulling is extremely difficult. Now let's talk about something even more exciting. Errors. Mint errors are what truly ignite the passion of collectors. These are coins that were struck imperfectly during production. And when it comes to the 1978 Lincoln cent, there are several types of errors that can dramatically increase value. One of the most sought after is the double die error. This occurs when the die used to strike the coin receives a misaligned impression during creation, causing certain design elements to appear double. On a genuine double die 1978 penny, you may notice doubling in the lettering of Liberty or in the date. The doubling will look strong and distinct, not like simple machine doubling, which appears flat and shelf-like. Collectors are willing to pay significant amounts for true double die examples, especially in high grades. Another valuable category includes off-center strikes. If a coin was not properly aligned when struck, part of the design may be missing. The more dramatic the off-center strike, while still showing the full date, the more desirable it becomes. Then there are clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin appears cut or missing due to a metal blanking error. Broad strikes, where the coin expands beyond its collar. Die cracks and cut errors, which create raised lines or blobs of metal on the surface. Each of these errors tells a story. Each represents a moment inside the mint when machinery and metal didn't align perfectly. And collectors love these imperfections because they are unique. But here's what most people don't realize: even without dramatic mint errors, an ordinary-looking 1978 no-mint mark penny can become extraordinary if preserved in exceptional condition. Imagine finding one in an old bankroll that was never opened. Imagine discovering one in a collection stored carefully since 1978. That original bright red copper color, untouched by decades of handling, is what collectors crave. Professional grading makes all the difference. Once authenticated and graded, a high-grade 1978 penny enters the competitive marketplace of serious collectors. Auction records have shown that top-graded examples, especially those with blazing red color and virtually flawless surfaces, can reach surprisingly strong prices, and this is where your opportunity lies, because unlike rare gold coins or century-old silver dollars, the 1978 Lincoln cent is accessible. It's affordable to search for. It can still be found in old collections, estate sales, coin rolls, and inherited boxes of change. The key is knowledge. You need to know what to look for. Start with the color. Red coins are more valuable than red-brown. Red-brown are more valuable than brown. Examine the high points of Lincoln's face. Look for wear. Even slight dulling can lower a grade. Check the fields, the flat surfaces around the portrait. For distracting marks, use a magnifying glass to inspect Liberty and the date. For doubling, weigh the coin. A genuine 1978 copper penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. Do not clean the coin. Cleaning destroys value faster than almost anything else. Even a rare coin can lose most of its worth if improperly cleaned. Patience is part of the journey. Many collectors search through thousands of pennies before finding one worth submitting for grading. But the thrill of discovery keeps them going. And think about this for a moment. The 1978 penny represents a time capsule from the late 1970s, a different America. A different economy. A different world. Yet that small piece of copper has survived decades of change. Now it could potentially change your financial story. Coin collecting is not just a hobby. For many Americans between 30 and 65 years old, it has become a serious side income. Estate buyers, coin roll hunters, and savvy collectors know that hidden value often lies in overlooked places. While most people ignore pennies, collectors understand that condition rarity drives the market. The truth is, not every 1978 no-mint mark penny will make you wealthy. But one exceptional coin, just one, can make a dramatic difference, and that's why you should check your change, search those jars, look through inherited collections, visit local coin shops and ask questions, build relationships with other collectors, because knowledge turns ordinary coins into opportunities. The 1978 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny may appear simple. But simplicity can be deceptive. When preserved in near-perfect condition, authenticated by respected grading services, and offered in competitive auctions, this small copper coin has achieved impressive results. We are talking about the 1979 D. Lincoln 1-cent penny. This humble coin was minted by the legendary United States Mint at its Denver facility, represented by the small D mint mark just below the date. At first glance, it looks like any other late 1970s penny. But when you understand what to look for, you begin to see why certain examples of this coin can be worth far more than 1 cent. Let's begin with the basics. The obverse of the 1979 D penny features the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, a design that has appeared on the Lincoln cent since 1909. The reverse, used from 1959 through 2008, displays the Lincoln Memorial, a tribute to the very monument that honors him in Washington, D.C. This reverse design connects the coin directly to American heritage, leadership, and history. In 1979, the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of pennies. That high mintage means most 1979 D cents are common. You can still find them in circulation today. In worn condition, they are worth exactly 1 cent. In average circulated condition, perhaps a few cents at best. So how can a coin with such a large mintage become valuable? The answer lies in 3 powerful factors: condition, errors, and preservation. First, condition. Coin collectors use a grading scale to determine value. A heavily circulated penny with scratches, dull color, and worn details is common. But an uncirculated 1979 D penny, one that never entered circulation, is a completely different story. In mint state grades, especially MS-65 and above, the coin must have strong luster, sharp details, and minimal marks. The higher the grade, the rarer the coin becomes in top condition. While millions were struck, far fewer survived in pristine state. Many were tossed into change jars, vending machines, and parking meters. Very few were carefully stored in rolls or sets and preserved untouched. Second, errors. This is where excitement truly begins. Mint errors happen during the production process. These can include off-center strikes, double dies, die cracks, clipped planchets, and striking anomalies. While not every 1979 D penny has an error, the ones that do can attract significant attention. One of the most sought-after types of errors is a double die. This occurs when the design is impressed twice at slightly different angles, creating a noticeable doubling effect in letters or numbers. On a 1979 D penny, collectors carefully inspect the date, the word Liberty, and the motto "In God We Trust" for signs of doubling. Another possibility is a broad strike, where the coin is struck outside the retaining collar, causing it to expand slightly in diameter. Or a clipped planchet error, where a portion of the coin is missing due to a blanking mistake at the mint. Even subtle die cracks, thin raised lines caused by a cracked die, can make a coin more collectible, especially if the crack is dramatic and well-defined. Third, copper composition. The 1979 D penny was made primarily of copper, containing 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin. This was before the major composition change in 1982, when pennies shifted primarily to zinc. Many collectors appreciate the heavier copper coins for their classic feel and historic metal content. A 1979 D penny weighs about 3.11 grams. If you have a precise digital scale, weighing your coin is one way to confirm authenticity and ensure it hasn't been altered. Now let's talk about real market behavior. In lower circulated grades, a 1979 D penny typically sells for 1 to 5 cents. In brilliant uncirculated condition, especially MS-63 to MS-65, it may sell for several dollars. Higher certified examples graded by major grading services can command even stronger prices, especially if they display exceptional red luster. Color matters. Collectors classify copper coins as brown, or red. A full red example, meaning it retains its original bright copper color, is far more desirable. Over time, copper darkens and tones. Finding a 1979 D penny that remains blazing red after decades is increasingly difficult, and when you combine full red color, a high mint state grade, and strong eye appeal, the value climbs. But here's where opportunity enters your life. Many people underestimate modern pennies. They assume only early 1900s coins or rare wheat cents are valuable. As a result, high-grade 1979 D pennies are often overlooked, left in rolls, forgotten in drawers, or spent without a second thought. That if you are willing to search bank rolls, estate sales, flea markets, and inherited collections, you dramatically increase your chances of finding quality examples. And remember, grading is everything. A coin that looks flawless to the naked eye might reveal small contact marks under magnification. Professional grading by respected third-party services can authenticate and encapsulate the coin, giving buyers confidence. Certified coins consistently sell for stronger prices than raw coins of the same quality. Now let's shift into strategy. That if your goal is to turn pocket change into meaningful profit, you must develop the eyes of a collector and the discipline of an investor. Start by learning how to identify high-grade surfaces. Study the cheek and jawline of Lincoln. These areas often show the first signs of wear. Examine the steps of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Sharp detail indicates minimal circulation. Look for full luster, that cartwheel shine that rotates under light when you tilt the coin. Never clean your coins. Cleaning destroys value instantly. Even a common coin can lose collector appeal if improperly cleaned. Leave the surfaces original. Store your finds properly in coin flips, holders, or protective albums to prevent environmental damage. Now imagine this scenario: you search through a $25 box of pennies from the bank. That's 2,500 coins. Among them, you pull out several 1979 D pennies in stunning red uncirculated condition. Perhaps you even discover one with a noticeable error. You submit it for grading. It returns with a high mint state designation. Suddenly, that 1-cent coin becomes a collectible asset. This is how ordinary people build extraordinary collections. The 1979 D Lincoln cent represents a powerful truth: value is often hidden in plain sight. The difference between 1 cent and a valuable collectible is knowledge, and knowledge is what separates casual spenders from smart sellers. Collectors across the United States continue searching for high-grade late 1970s copper cents because supply in top condition becomes tighter every year. Coins are lost, damaged, cleaned, or mishandled. Survival rates decline. Premium quality examples become more desirable. If you are between 30 and 65 years old, thinking about financial security, side income, or even legacy investments, coin collecting can be more than a hobby. It can become a disciplined strategy. Not every penny will change your life. But the right penny, discovered at the right time, in the right condition, absolutely can. When you hold a 1979 D Lincoln penny, you're holding a piece of American history. It was struck during a time of economic shifts, energy concerns, and global change. Yet decades later, it remains tangible, solid, and potentially profitable. And if you are someone between 30 and 65, living in the United States, dreaming of turning overlooked pocket change into serious money, this is the kind of opportunity you cannot afford to ignore. In 2013, the United States Mint produced Lincoln pennies at multiple facilities. The primary mint locations were United States Mint facilities in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Pennies struck in Philadelphia traditionally carry no mint mark. That means if you look at a 2013 penny and do not see a small D or S below the date, it was minted in Philadelphia. But here's the part most people miss: just because a coin has no mint mark does not automatically make it rare. In fact, Philadelphia struck billions of 2013 pennies. So how can a 2013 no mint mark Lincoln cent be worth serious money? The answer lies in condition, errors, and rare varieties. The 2013 Lincoln cent continues the long-running design first introduced in 1909, featuring the profile of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. The reverse in 2013 displays the Union Shield design, symbolizing Lincoln's preservation of the United States. This modern shield design replaced the Lincoln Memorial reverse in 2010, giving collectors a new era of sense to examine closely for subtle differences and minting mistakes. Now imagine this. You are sorting through a roll of pennies from your bank. You notice one that looks brighter than the others. The strike is sharp. The surfaces are clean. There are no scratches, no dullness, no fingerprints. That coin, if preserved in near-perfect condition, could be graded at the highest levels by professional grading services, and condition is everything. Most 2013 pennies in circulation are worn. They have been through cash registers, vending machines, parking meters, and countless hands. But a 2013 no-mint mark penny that grades MS 67 or higher can command a significant premium compared to face value. Why? Because perfection is rare. Even though billions were made, very few survive in flawless condition. Tiny contact marks from other coins during the minting and bagging process reduce grades. A coin that appears perfect to the naked eye may reveal microscopic flaws under magnification. This is where opportunity begins. Collectors are willing to pay strong money for top population coins, the finest known examples certified by grading companies. If your 2013 no-mint mark Lincoln cent is one of the best preserved examples known, it becomes desirable not because it is old, but because it is exceptional. But that is only part of the story. Let's talk about errors. Mint errors are the true treasures in modern coinage. These are mistakes that occur during the striking process. They are accidental, unpredictable, and sometimes extremely valuable. For a 2013 no-mint mark penny, valuable errors may include double die errors, where design elements appear doubled due to a misalignment in the die creation process. Off-center strikes, where the design is not properly centered on the coin. Blank, broad strikes, where the coin spreads beyond its normal diameter because of collar failure. Clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin is missing due to a cutting error. Struck through errors, where debris interfered with the strike and left unusual impressions. Most people never examine their coins closely enough to spot these details. But if you are serious about building wealth through coin collecting, you must train your eyes to see what others overlook. Take a magnifying glass. Study the date, 2013. Examine the word liberty. Inspect "In God We Trust." Look closely at Lincoln's eye, ear, and beard. On the reverse, analyze the shield lines and lettering. Doubling, distortion, or unusual texture could signal something special. And here's the powerful truth: modern era coins are often discovered by ordinary people, not professional dealers. That means you. Now let's discuss composition. The 2013 Lincoln cent is made primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating. Since 1982, most pennies have been copper-plated zinc rather than solid copper. This composition makes dramatic errors like wrong planchet strikes extremely rare but highly valuable if discovered. Imagine finding a 2013 penny struck on the wrong metal planchet, perhaps intended for a different denomination. Such transitional or wrong planchet errors can command astonishing prices at auction, and auctions are where dreams become reality. When rare modern coins appear in major auction houses, bidding can escalate quickly. Competitive collectors, registry set participants, and investors push prices higher for coins that are certified as the finest known. But you must remember something important. Not every 2013 no-mint mark penny is valuable. In circulated condition, most are worth only face value. The difference between 1 cent and a significant payday lies in grade, rarity, and error status. So how do you position yourself to win? First, start searching. Bank rolls are an affordable way to examine large quantities of pennies. Estate sales, coin shops, and even your own change jar are starting points. Second, learn grading basics. Understand the difference between mint state 63 and mint state 67. Study luster, strike sharpness, and surface preservation. Third, if you believe you have found a high-grade or error coin, consider professional authentication. Certification provides credibility and often unlocks higher resale value. Fourth, stay patient. Wealth in coin collecting rarely comes from luck alone. It comes from knowledge, discipline, and consistent searching. Now let's talk mindset. Many people between 30 and 65 are thinking about financial security. Some are planning retirement. Others are seeking side opportunities to grow income. Rare coin hunting is not gambling when approached intelligently. It is strategic searching backed by education. Every penny you inspect is a possibility, and while most will be ordinary, it only takes one extraordinary coin to change everything. Picture this scenario: a pristine 2013 no-mint mark Lincoln cent, perfectly struck, blazing red, flawless surfaces, graded at the very top of the population. Or a dramatic, eye-catching mint error certified and auctioned to competitive collectors. That is when a simple 1-cent coin transforms into an asset. The modern coin market rewards the best of the best. Registry collectors compete fiercely for top-ranked coins. Investors diversify into tangible assets. And high-grade modern rarities increasingly attract attention because they are difficult to find in perfection. So the next time someone tells you that a 2013 penny is just pocket change, smile quietly, because you understand something they do not. You understand that rarity is not always about age. It is about condition, scarcity within a grade, and unique characteristics. You understand that billions minted does not mean billions preserved in perfection. You understand that opportunity hides in plain sight, and here is your call to action. Tonight, open that jar of coins. Visit your bank and request a few rolls of pennies. Set aside quiet time. Use good lighting. Examine each coin carefully. Do not rush. Do not assume. Do not underestimate. Train your eye. Build your knowledge. Develop your patience, because in the world of coin collecting, the disciplined hunter wins, and while most 2013 no-mint mark Lincoln cents will remain 1-cent coins, a select few, in extraordinary condition or with significant mint errors, can command impressive sums in the collector marketplace. Imagine discovering that one coin that stands above the rest. And that opportunity could be sitting in the form of the 2021 D-Mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. This coin was struck by the legendary United States Mint at its Denver facility, known as the Denver Mint. When you see that small D mint mark under the date 2021, you are looking at a coin produced in one of the most historic minting locations in the country. While millions of these coins were made, not all of them are created equal. Let's start with the basics. The 2021 D Lincoln cent features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. This iconic design has been a symbol of American resilience for generations. The reverse features the Union Shield design, representing the strength and unity of the United States. On the surface, this may seem like just another penny. But collectors know better. They understand that within large production numbers, rare varieties and mint errors can quietly slip through quality control, and those are the coins that change lives. You see, modern coins like the 2021 D penny are produced in massive quantities. However, during the minting process, mistakes can occur. These mistakes are not supposed to happen. When they do, they create coins that are dramatically different from standard circulation pieces. And difference in the coin world often equals demand. One of the most exciting possibilities with a 2021 D Lincoln cent is the presence of striking errors. These can include off-center strikes, double die varieties, die cracks, clipped planchets, broad strikes, and even wrong planchet errors. Imagine finding a penny that was struck slightly off-center, leaving part of the design missing but still clearly identifiable. Collectors actively search for these anomalies because they are rare and visually dramatic. Another potential treasure is a double die error. This occurs when the die used to strike the coin has a misalignment during its creation, causing design elements to appear doubled. Look closely at the lettering, the date, and the word Liberty. Under magnification, doubling in these areas can significantly increase value. The key is clarity and strength of the doubling. Condition also plays a massive role. Most 2021 D pennies in circulation are worn, scratched, or discolored. But if you happen to find one in pristine, uncirculated condition, you are already ahead of the crowd. Collectors use grading systems to evaluate coins. The higher the grade, the higher the value. A coin graded in near-perfect mint state condition, especially with strong luster and no visible marks, can command a premium. Now here is where strategy becomes important. If you believe you found something unusual, never clean the coin. Cleaning destroys value. Even light polishing can reduce a coin's desirability. Instead, store it safely in a protective holder and consider having it evaluated by a professional grading service. Authentication and grading add credibility, and credibility adds market confidence. The modern coin market has evolved. Online auctions, coin forums, and collector networks have made it easier than ever to connect buyers and sellers. A rare 2021 penny with a dramatic mint error doesn't just sit in a local shop. It can be exposed to a nationwide audience of competitive bidders. And competition drives price. Let's talk about scarcity psychology. When collectors realize that a specific error variety exists in limited numbers, demand rises. Many collectors focus heavily on older coins, believing modern pieces cannot be valuable. That assumption creates opportunity. Because fewer people search through modern rolls, error coins can remain undiscovered for years. Think about that for a moment. While others are ignoring 2021 pennies, you could be examining them carefully. Roll hunting, searching bank-wrapped rolls for rare varieties, has become a powerful strategy. For a small investment, you gain access to hundreds or thousands of coins to inspect. The risk is low. The potential reward can be extraordinary, and let's not forget about transitional composition possibilities. Since 1982, Lincoln cents have primarily been copper-plated zinc. However, wrong planchet errors can occur when a coin is struck on a metal intended for another denomination. A penny struck on a different planchet would immediately stand out due to weight differences. Using a precise digital scale can reveal inconsistencies that the naked eye cannot see. Knowledge is your greatest advantage. Understanding how coins are produced gives you insight into what can go wrong. Blanks are punched from metal sheets. They are annealed, cleaned, and fed into coining presses. Dies strike the blanks with immense pressure, imprinting the design. If a blank is misfed, if a die is cracked, if alignment shifts even slightly, the result is a mint error. And mint errors are collectible because they are unintentional and rare. The 2021 Lincoln cent may be modern, but modern does not mean worthless. In fact, the relative recency of the coin means many examples remain in high-grade condition. High-grade coins with dramatic errors are the sweet spot for serious collectors. Now imagine this scenario: you search through a roll of 2021 pennies. Most look ordinary. But one catches your eye. The strike is off-center by 15%. The date is fully visible. The luster shines brilliantly. You examine it under magnification and confirm the details are crisp. That coin is no longer a 1-cent piece. It becomes a collectible artifact of minting history, and here is the deeper truth: coin collecting is not just about age. It is about rarity, condition, and demand. A coin minted yesterday can be worth more than one minted a century ago if the right combination of factors align. The market rewards uniqueness. For those of you between 30 and 65 watching this video, think about the long-term perspective. Wealth is often built not by chasing obvious opportunities, but by recognizing overlooked ones. The 2021 penny represents that philosophy. It challenges the assumption that only old coins matter. The key steps you should take are simple but powerful. First, inspect your change regularly. Second, learn to identify common error types. Third, invest in basic tools, a magnifying glass, a digital scale, and good lighting. Fourth, never rush to sell without proper evaluation. Fifth, stay informed about current market trends. The modern coin market moves quickly. As more collectors become aware of a specific variety, demand can spike. Social media and online platforms accelerate that awareness. A single viral post showcasing a dramatic error can ignite widespread interest, and remember, presentation matters when selling. Clear, high-resolution photos. Honest descriptions. Verified grading. These elements build trust with buyers. Trust increases bidding confidence. And confidence increases final sale prices. You may be thinking, can a 2021 penny really be worth serious money? The answer is yes. Under the right circumstances, not every coin will be valuable. Most will remain face value. But the rare error coin in exceptional condition can rise dramatically above its humble origins. That is the nature of collectibles. Outliers drive headlines, patience is essential, roll hunting requires time and discipline. You might search hundreds of coins before finding something special. But that one discovery can make the effort worthwhile. And beyond financial reward, there is the thrill of discovery. The excitement of realizing you found something others overlooked. Let's also talk about grading. Professional grading services encapsulate coins in tamper-evident holders and assign a numerical grade. A coin graded MS67 or higher is considered superb. High-grade modern coins are surprisingly scarce because even minor contact marks reduce grades. So if you find a flawless 2021 penny with blazing luster and sharp details, you may be holding something extraordinary. Market timing also plays a role. Selling during peak demand, when collector interest is high, can maximize returns. Monitoring completed auction listings provides insight into real transaction prices rather than optimistic asking prices. Knowledge protects you from undervaluing your find. The 2021 Lincoln penny is a reminder that value is not always obvious. Sometimes it requires curiosity, education, and persistence. Picture this: a small coin, overlooked by millions, becomes the centerpiece of a bidding war. What was once pocket change transforms into a sought-after collectible,